show you highlights of what we have in M.O.M 12. So what we're going to do is go over some of the PCI changes that we did, the new modules, and then improvements and enhancements. So going right into it is the PCI. Obviously, this is a new PCI framework that we had to certify for. This is really stringent and important to make sure that we secure sensitive information within the M.O.M system. So we had a lot of improvements around data security, the security developing. We had some improved encryptions. There was new requirements on how to make sure encryptions is updated and compliant. We also have a executable now that is validated, so it ensures that we have now options. So under this options, we have PCI tools, and now we have what we call data integrity check report, and we also have a configuration change report. The database, and I'll show you a sample of what that looks like here. We will keep track of that report, which is here. This back. In this example, you can see that there was changes done to the global parameters. This is important to know, as you know that global parameters controls a lot of the workflows within your system. It's important to know that if there's a setting change there, you can see when it was saved and which user actually did the field changing. We're also tracking if someone changes a password. Again, this is more for security to keep track on if someone does change it. We're going to go into our international, our new modules. We're going to go into each one here. So I'm going to go down the list. We have Shippo International Shipping. We have the BigCommerce Direct integration, which we saw on our last webinar. We're also going to see the Shopify Direct integration. We have the Salesforce Cloud Direct integration, and we have the Avalara. So I'm going to go briefly show that within the M.O.M system so you get a sense on how they're going to work. Obviously, we're going to go in depth in some of these. Go. I need to pick an international address. So in this particular example, I'm using a Paris, France address here, international. So when you get an international order, it's the same workflow. You would take an order, you typically put an item in, the payment, and then you have the shipping method. In this case, mine is INT. And within the packaging tab now, you could go to modify packaging. There is now a custom declaration where you can fill it in. So you are familiar with your products that you are selling and sending to a different international location, so you would fill this in accordingly. Once this is filled in, you hit save, and then you can go to item declarations. Within the M.O.M system, we have a section for this in the stock maintenance form, and I'll show you that shortly, where this is filled in from. So if you fill that in, this is automatically populated. Anything with the asterisks here is automatically populated based on the product information. If it's not populated on the stock maintenance screen, you can obviously populate it here or overwrite the information here as you see fit. Once that's filled in, this is just regular processing in M.O.M at this point. You'd go to Rate Shop. International is recommended with Rate Shop. And the reason we do that is because if you have a one-to-one method, meaning that you map UPS Saver or Express directly, some address might not offer that, so it's not guaranteed that you would get a rate. So it's important for you guys to understand why it's better to Rate Shop so that you could see what option or what services is available for that particular address or that country. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and hit select Saver here. And then I'm going to go ahead and process like we typically would. It creates a transaction. And then this would create a label for us that's international. So this is an international UPS Saver label here going to Paris, France. So now we have an actual international label that you can print out within the M.O.M system. So the workflow is much smoother compared to the current workflows that we support in M.O.M, where you typically would have to take this out outside of M.O.M, meaning you would actually go to WorldShip or Ship Manager import it there, print it there, and then come back, bring the tracking information. And then what we get next here is what we call the commercial invoice. So we have a prompt here that lets you, typically when you have a commercial invoice, you typically print 3 or 4 copies depending on your requirements. You put one in the box and a couple copies outside the box. But here you could see what the commercial invoice looks like. Has all the information here that you put in, along with the custom information that you put in earlier. If you're satisfied with that, you would just print this, and that would print the number of copies that you want. So typically, you want to, once you print here, this will bring up printer dialog, and you would choose the number of commercial invoice that you would want to print. So that's one way of doing international. The other way is through the Packers Workstation. This brings you to the manager station, and you can then assign. If you left click, it brings you back to the regular Packers Workstation that you're used to. Just going to show an example of international through Packers Workstation. Same process. We do have some indicators to indicate that it's international. You can see it has a blue background that says international. That address is an international shipment. We also have an icon up here to indicate that it's international. And from here, it's the same process. You would print the packing slip. You do have your item declaration here. That's already done. If you are not familiar, we do have the virtualization hub. So if you're packing boxes and you have a box template set up, you can see how that particular item fits within this particular box. This also tells you the fill volume, if it's okay to go. And once this is done, you process this as you likely would, and it would go through your fulfillment side as well. So that is international. Again, we're aiming to streamline the process of shipping within the system. So next is the BigCommerce. So I'm going to cover a lot of these guys together because they're in the same menu options. So if I go to merchant settings here, you will see that I have new tabs for Salesforce. I have a BigCommerce tab and a Shopify tab. So here you could see you would enter your BigCommerce information. And if you'd like, you could see the actual tokens and so on. Once you save that, you can do a test connection, and that would connect to your store. So you can see my store is connected to my sandbox, and that is working. You have all the payment options here. So this is a way to filter out what you want to download, the range of orders, and then the default settings that you might want to set for BigCommerce. We have product filters so that you can publish certain groups of products or all the products depending on what you need. Same thing with inventory. And lastly is the mapping. You can map the different shipping methods, pay methods, and card types that you might have specifically for BigCommerce. And if you go to Shopify, that's very similar. We can test it to make sure that it connects to your Shopify store like mine does on my sandbox. And it has the same options. It has the filter on the type of orders that you want to download, what status they are. You have item on the fly, the discount level, sales ID, the order range, and so on. We have the shipments, and we have mapping. Right quickly on Salesforce is the same options. You have orders, you have product supports and the different products that you might want to publish, the different order status that you might want to download, shipments, number of batches, inventory, and the same thing as mapping. So what we really did here is use the same framework across the different carts. So that way, if you do have multiple channels or multiple carts or platform that you're supporting, the use and workflow are going to be the same for all of them. So it's nice. A lot of you guys are probably used to running M.O.M with a Magento or an Amazon maybe, and that's the same workflow as this. So once you have it set up here, you would go into under options, the manager station. Once in the manager station, you can see all the different tasks that you're able to run for each of these different carts. So for BigCommerce, I can click BigCommerce, pick my store that I want. If you had multi-store, you'll be able to pick download and pick one of the stores. If you have that, I only have one. I'll download my BigCommerce orders into the system. Same thing for Salesforce here. I have 2 stores for Salesforce, so I could pick one and hit download. And same thing for Shopify. So I could download orders from Shopify. For Shopify, we do have the inventory sync and mapping. So basically what we do is we have an API call going to Shopify, looking at those SKUs and finding matching SKUs in M.O.M and map those automatically for you. And that way, when you do sync inventory, we will sync inventory based on the SKU mapping that is existing in both sides of the system. I mean, M.O.M and Shopify. So again, you set it up and then you go to the task. Just going to go into the product setup for that really quick so you guys can see what that looks like. On the e-com tab, you guys are familiar with this, a drop down. Let's go to Shopify. You can click this available. You can choose the store you want available for. And if you want and you haven't mapped it yet, you can click get info from Shopify. This is a match. This is not, I don't have this matched up, so it's not going to really work on the Shopify side. But so we have the same thing for Salesforce, and you also have the same thing for BigCommerce. So again, they're all uniform in the sense that the same workflow when you set these things up in M.O.M. So next thing I want to go over is the Avalara integration. So most of you guys will have TaxJar, but we now also have Avalara. So if you're thinking about switching over, you can. The setup is pretty much the same thing. So we have account settings here that allows you to set up your account, your license key, and once that license key is put in, you can connect to your account, to Avalara, and that will automatically pull all the information needed. It will download all your Nexus, products, and entity codes and locations. Here we have different options on how you want to support Avalara. We have, you want to make sure you calculate tax in M.O.M, send invoice to Avalara, and then if you have Amazon, you want to directly upload from M.O.M the invoice, not directly from Amazon, to avoid the double reporting. And we have a couple options here as far as how you want to handle promotion items and shipping charges. This is something that you would need to set up on your Avalara side to see how you actually want to tag those type of items, how you want to tag them. We also have an option to do a sandbox account. So if you have a sandbox account with Avalara and you want to test out all the different rules that you might already have set up on those accounts, you want to do it in a sandbox first, you could check this off and then put that information up here. And this would connect to your sandbox, and then that way you could actually test out the workflow as well. We have the transaction history. So if there are any calls tells you how many number of calls, API calls on that particular time period that you would choose. This has all your nexuses that is defined on your Avalara account, your different product codes that are available in Avalara, your entity use codes, and then your different locations that you might set in your account. So this works very similar to TaxJar. So as you place an order, it will calculate rates based on where you're shipping to. And then once those are completed, you could go into the upload transactions to Avalara. So that would send all the completed orders or invoices from M.O.M to Avalara at this point. We also have so if you're starting off and you want to send something to Avalara that's already been invoiced in M.O.M, you can create transaction based on historical orders. And you can also assign product codes in bulk. I could set, based on a product class, I can include all these groupings, and I can assign a certain code to it all at one time to make it much faster to assign all those instead of doing it one at a time. But we do have the option in the product setup as well to actually assign the Avalara tax manually or one at a time, individually. So you have different ways to do it to ensure that you have the most accurate tax calculation based on the product and where you're shipping to. As far as the entity use codes, that is going to be on our customer records, I believe. So you could see here for your customer record, you have some type of use code that you want to associate this particular customer, you can do it right here. So that way the exemptions are calculated as well. There's a quick, while we're on the product, there is a question I see with the country of origin. So that is auto-populated. Let me just find that. So it's right here. So Tom, on that one, you could, once you set that here, when you do the actual shipping, the items declaration, that should take it directly from here, depending on what this is set to. Right. So that is our Avalara integration, and I'm just gonna switch over to our slide quickly and just gonna go over some of the enhancements that we had. I'm gonna highlight today. So in addition to all those modules that we added for M.O.M 12, we also had some core enhancements, and also we had some module enhancements. So existing modules we added more features to as well. But these are some of the enhancements so far that we've added. Most of these, majority of these are coming from merchants like yourself on their day-to-day needs to expand the feature set of M.O.M to kind of help optimize their business and make the ease of use much better for them. So we have a couple of things here. Quickly, I'll go down the list and I'll show you this on the M.O.M side. So we have the search preference for ship to and gift to addresses. Typically, when you have a ship to and gift to, it's always restricted to customers that belong to that customer. Now you can actually change that based on the preference. So if you want to put it in normal, expanded, makes it easier to look up other customers that already exist in your system, besides just looking the restricted section, which is customers that belong to that group. We had on the customer record itself, there's a web URL that you can put in. It was opening to a non-default browser, so we coded that so that it opens to your default browser now. The customer loyalty program allows you to redeem and earn points within the M.O.M system, and there was some logic where we had feedback where points shouldn't be counted towards to earn other points, so we changed that logic. There is support for California cities with different aliases. Basically, in California, there are cities that fall in the same zip code, but they're actually different city names for each one. So we support that now. We added that in our system. So if you have the zip code, they'll give you a lookup on which city that you want to represent on that record. We have the update email address on import, and also update no email on import. So we have a field on the import called update ADBR, where if that is flagged and you have a custom number being passed, it will take all the information in there and update the customer record in M.O.M. Before, it didn't update the email address, and it didn't update the no email. So the email address was nice to add, and a no email now allows you to have, if you have like an opt-out option on your website that you want to track, you can now say people opt out, you can send that flag no email or email. That way, you can see when you do your list management features in M.O.M, you can actually filter them out for people that don't want emails, so they opted out for emails, which is nice. For people that want to do reconciling supplier invoice, we allow you to print that screen now, so you can actually reconcile much faster. And for ease of use, we allow now print out of purchase orders within the view edit screen. So when you're viewing a PO, instead of going to the menu option to print it, you can actually print it right there if you'd like. So another ease of use feature. On the same note, on the PO side, we actually see you can actually see who created the PO and who edited the PO last. And then what we did with the PO is we now tied it to email. When you email it, before it was defaulted to a dark green and light green branding when you emailed it in PDF. Now we attached it to your branding that you can define in global parameters same branding that you would do for your invoicing. So I'll show you that. And then for the modules, we did some updates for Shippo. We did automatically print return labels if you like. So as you print labels in M.O.M, you can actually print out return labels. So that way you can put it in the same box if you need. It makes, there's something that is high on your particular vertical, makes return process much smoother and efficient. Now we also now offer ship assurance on the service level, so you can actually pick and choose which shipping service you want to have ship assurance. Also for retail, you can also have an option for retail rates. So for non-negotiated rates, and you want to put retail rates because sometimes the negotiated rate doesn't come up with a rate. You can do retail rates as well. And lastly, we also included a tax jar enhancements where now you can exclude invoices based on their order types or source key. The reason for doing that is sometimes you will have orders that are coming from a cart or a platform that's already been reported to tax jar. So if you do that on your platform, now you have a way to exclude it in M.O.M. So when you upload the invoices to tax jar, they're not going to be double reported. So I'm just going to go over that list in M.O.M, and I'll show you guys what those look like. So let me go here. So the first one was the search preferences. So if you go to your My Preferences, you will actually see new drop downs here for your gift to and ship to search lookups. Right? So typically this is on restricted here. So address belonging to this customer only, right? So very limits your options. But if you do normal or expanded, then expands your search, allows you to search for more gift tos or ship tos. Here, let me go to a customer. So this is just the default web. If you double click this, this will open up the web, but this will default to our default browser. So you can see this is my browser is Chrome, so it defaults to my Chrome browser. So here we have the loyalty program. Like I said, there's a new logic here that we added. This is the other thing on the email, and then the no email here. So on the update ADR on import, now this can be flagged again, so that way people that want to opt out, they can be sent a flag. That way when you do list management, or if you actually send our list to a mailing house, you can export this flag so that they know not to email that particular person or customer. Next is we have the supplier invoices. So if you go here, now we have a print button here. Again, the idea here is that you could filter out specific suppliers, and you can see what's paid, what's not paid, and then you can quickly print this, and gets you a nice view, so you can take this out, put it to Excel, or reconcile what's unpaid for that particular supplier or a group of supplier invoice that you have. And then on the view, edit, purchase, I go select. Here you could see we added copy purchase. You could do now print. Like I said, you can print from here. So if you haven't printed this, like mine's not printed, I could print this. This will automatically click email it if you have it set up for email, print it if it's set up for print. And here you can also see who created this PO and who edited this particular PO. And like I said, when emailing the PO, the branding for it now is not defaulted to that green and dark green. It's now tied to there's email notices. It's now tied to the color scheme that you would set up in Global here. So in mine, I have our kind of color scheming, the blue and light blue. So makes it more professional, more on your kind of branding, makes sense to your customer instead of the default one. And on the Shippo side, we did this Shipping, shipper service. We added security, so that way it protects your API tokens. If you want to view this, it will require your password to log in. So when you put that in, it will show it more security there. And then we also have the mapping. So if you look at this, you could map to a service. Now with the three options that we talked about: retail rates, the return labels, and ship sharing. So depending on what service you want to actually print return labels for automatically, you can set that up here. And then you would go to fulfill it like you normally would, except you have a return label that prints out right after the physical shipping label. And the last thing here is the tax jar changes. So we have within the tax jar setup, we have now an exclude order criteria. You can add, and then you can choose if you want to do it by source key, and then you can add the source key that you want or the order type that you would want on this. So if I do first, I could do that and save. And any orders that have a source key of first will no longer be uploaded to TaxJar. And again, the whole idea there is to avoid any double reporting on your tax side. This feature is used when you already uploaded it directly from your car website or platform. You don't want M.O.M to also report it. Again, this avoids a double report for taxes. And those are the feature sets I wanted to highlight today. Again, there is a handout on this particular GoToWebinar, and that has the full list. So if you guys want to go over that and check it out, and then let me know if any particular feature you guys want to talk about or want me to show, I can do that. So next thing, I'm going to go back to the slide and we can open it up for questions. So there is a question here regarding, I've read somewhere that M.O.M 12 is available for download, but I don't see the options on the website. So if you want to download it, please reach out to our sales rep. What they'll do is they'll enable it for you, and that way you'll be able to see on the website. Basically, there is a version that needs updated. Right now, you're currently probably version 10 or 11. We need to actually change that to 12, and that way we know that you're interested in upgrading. Then we want to provide you the information that you need to upgrade, and then we'll enable that for you on the website so you can download it and apply that to your system. So you probably want to set up a sandbox and apply 12 in the sandbox, test that out, making sure that all your third-party integrations or reports that you have will work. All right, so we have another one. Will DHL be added to Shippo International? Right now it's actually there. We actually just suppressed it. We wanted to see who's actually needing that, but that's something that we can quickly do if that's something that you're looking for Tom. I'll just have to work with my developer to actually not filter it out. Right now, the ones that we actually support is UPS, FedEx, and USPS. But good feedback. If that's something that a lot of people use, we could definitely turn that on. Yeah, so once DHL, I'll speak to my team about that, and if it's available, you can actually test it out. What a lot of merchants will do is they actually can test in parallel. That way, you can make sure that the workflow in M.O.M makes sense and is comparable to what you're doing with the other shipping system, in this case, Malvern, on your side. So yeah, I'll let you know when that's turned on. So there's a question here: does credit card tokenized data pass from BigCommerce and Shopify? Okay, so first, BigCommerce. For tokenized data, BigCommerce does pass token information as long as you have the checkout option to say store credit card data. So the customer or the end customer must opt in to saving the credit card. And if they do, the token information is passed into M.O.M. If they don't opt in, well, we'll be able to bring in the authorization information, but not the token. So it's going to be used a one-time use token. They will be able to authorize on BigCommerce and capture in M.O.M, but they can't reuse that card information moving forward. Shopify, we do not have any token information coming from Shopify. So everything for Shopify comes in as prepaid. So we have a question: Will you be able to upload commercial invoices and customer information electronically, like you would in WorldShip and Ship Manager? The customer information, yes. I just have to double check the commercial invoices, but I'm pretty sure we do that as well. But I'll get back to you in that just to confirm. So we have another question here. Is there a chance that we can do refunds for PayPal Direct in M.O.M in the future? For PayPal Express, you do. I don't know if you're speaking about standard. If it's standard, we do not, and that's currently not slotted. Might just have to email me on that exact request. I'll reply there with my email address, Bob, and let me know. They have a question: Does BigCommerce module publish all data about a product, or can you choose to publish certain things about a product, such as price? And can it publish departments and categories? So it publishes the basic product information. So let me just switch back to the M.O.M side really quick. And it's similar to what you see when you set up BigCommerce on their site. Pretty much a reflection of it right now. So if you go here, you can see these are pretty much the same fields in BigCommerce. So you can see, oh, sorry, go back. So you can see this screen here is what we send over to BigCommerce. So these are kind of the minimum fields that BigCommerce requires us to send. So this is filled in. You can send this. And as far as what you can control not to send is the title and description. So within the publishing screen, you can actually choose not to update the title or description. And the reason for that is a lot of merchants might already have a BigCommerce stores, and they've already invested time in putting the descriptions in HTML and the titles. So we don't want to necessarily overwrite that if you haven't set it up in M.O.M. That's why we have an option to not include this on a publish. As far as categories and departments, we do have one default that can be set up for right now. We are planning to add another tab here for categories where you can actually pick and choose what category this product will go up to. That's something in the works, but not currently available. All right, so join lay. Is there a provision at the SKU level to specify HTS? Jim, is the HTS the harmonized tax? Is that the tax? So for that, I will have to ask my developer, and I'll get back to you on that one, Jim. If that's the harmonized tax, right? All right. I think we covered all the questions so far. Any more questions, guys, or anything that you guys want to see? If you guys had a chance to check out the handout there, let me know if you guys want to see a particular feature. I'll cover that for you guys. Quantity discount. Yeah, so there's questions. Do we have support for quantity discounts for BigCommerce? We do, but it's only for download. We can't currently upload it. So if you're talking about special pricing from M.O.M to BigCommerce, it is currently not available. They have many different unique ways to do that in BigCommerce, and they don't necessarily is a same template as we send it. So at some point maybe, but currently not available yet. Sure. So there's a question about, so we added a new permission regarding come back later. So what we do is now if you go back to the setup of M.O.M, you can go to security, profile, you select the user that you want to do, you go here, I believe that's the, I think it's here, it should be here. Right here. So now you can actually, so we have a feature in 12, we added security level, so that way if you want to limit your CSRs from using come back later, because what it does is it actually puts it in what we call temporary hold and pretty much locks the order into readme only, so that way that particular CSR is the only person that can make edits to that particular order, and that could become a challenge sometimes if the CSR is out or not available. Now that order is stuck until that CSR actually releases it. So we added this feature to say, maybe restrict from the users from not using come back later. So there it is. Does Avalara have an option to not send invoices with certain source key like you previewed with Taxjar? Not at the moment, but we are currently working on that. So that feature will be available pretty soon. Any additional permission levels for stock record editing? We do not at the moment.
And Ian, Tom added an additional input specific fields.
Yeah, I was going to ask him which particular fields. That could be like an offline conversation Tom and I can have. Just trying to understand which fields we want to track. But we did add more tracking to the overall M.O.M, but because of PCI, so maybe we can add that to the activities. But actually, clarification, not tracking, but permissions. Okay. Got it. Do you have, send me an email with a list of those fields, Tom, and I can see something that can be doable on our side. Any more questions, guys? Again, there's the handout there. So there's some of those might not be obvious to what they are there. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. We can cover that for you. We got a couple more minutes here. This is scheduled to 4. So any more questions?
Ian, just for my view, I think you already answered it, but I think Tom had the first question. Country of origins looks like it's not auto-populated from the stock record, no asterisks.
Yeah, so that could just be the form. So I was explaining that it is in the product setup. So within the product setup, under I think miscellaneous, we will have a country of origin here. So as long as this is chosen, then that should be auto-populated on the items declaration when this is item that's being shipped out of the system. Does the new country of origin publish the setting? I have to double check that, Justin, but I don't think it does because that's a separate field, but we'll double check and get back to you on that.
I think you answered all the questions that came in from what I could tell. But again, if there's any questions, folks, feel free to put them in the chat.
We do not use Shippo, but would we have access to the commercial invoice? It's currently tied in with the Shippo international module, so you wouldn't have access to that without Shippo. Any questions for Mom12? You can reach me at ian.o@freestylesolutions.com, and you can reach James at
jclossek, JKLOSSEK @freestylesolutions.com.
Thank you for joining us today with a introduction of Mom12. Again, if you guys are interested, let us know. Any features you guys want to look at and see, we can definitely schedule some time together to kind of review those as well.